Hello, everyone. We've spoken so much about davening in Shul, about Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv, but I think it's about time we start speaking about davening outside of Shul. Namely, we all know that we have to daven 3 times a day, on Shabbos 4 times a day, and on Yom Kippur 5 times a day, but we don't speak enough about davening outside of Shul, davening outside the regular framework that we're used to. And I'd like to start right today with the first topic, and that is davening at a bedside of someone that's sick. There's an interesting halacha in Shulchan Aruch, and that is that the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim, the mitzvah of visiting the sick, is not complete unless you daven for the person that's ill. So you go to someone that's ill, you speak to them, you try to help them, you also have to daven for them. Now, what's that all about? I believe that the answer is that when we go to visit someone that's sick, there's 2 things we have to keep in mind. Number 1, we have to go out of our way to help in any which way we can. If someone needs a cup of tea, water, whatever they might need, we should be there and we should help them to the extent that we can. Namely, right now they're sick. Right now it's hard for them to get around. We should help them to overcome that obstacle. But it doesn't end there. There should be a second reason we go, and that is to do everything we can that they're not sick anymore. And the way to do that is not by virtue of anything medical, that's of course out of our hands, unless we're doctors or nurses, but rather to use the vehicle of davening in order to pray to the Master of the universe that the person that's sick will no longer be sick. In a word, when you go to visit someone that's ill, there's 2 things that have to be kept in mind. Number 1, they're sick right now. Let's help them to the extent we can as they are sick. But number 2, we also have to do what we can in order for them not to be sick anymore. If I can paraphrase it, when we give tzedakah, there's 2 things we should keep in mind. There's a low level in which someone is in need. They put out their hand, and you put tzedakah, you put charity in their hand. But there's a second aspect of tzedakah, and that is that you allow them to stand on their own 2 feet and no longer ask for handouts. That's why when you go to visit someone sick, we have to daven there. We do everything we can to help them as they're sick, but right before we leave, we have to daven that they no longer be sick. And that's exactly what I believe we have to keep in mind as we daven right now for our soldiers and for everyone else fighting, especially in the north of Israel, as things escalated at 5 o'clock this morning. On the one hand, to daven for the welfare of the soldiers as they are fighting, and to try to help them in any which way to succeed in all their missions. But there's a second aspect, and that is that they shouldn't have to fight anymore. So our tefillot, our davening, has to reflect both. On the one hand, to give them all that they can to succeed in their missions right now, but on the other hand, the second level is to ensure that they actually never have to fight again, that there'll be peace and tranquility, and God willing, this will not be part of our lives. So the next time you go to visit someone sick, keep in mind, help them to the extent you can while they're sick, but also daven that they not be sick at all.